video for those later. So we're officially starting properly here now with the video. Welcome everybody. I'm just going to pin my image to the screen so I can see a little bit better what you are. Welcome. This is episode 154 of a wine podcast that has been for 152 episodes just in audio only. Although I do have a WordPress site, that's Big and Fruity WordPress.com, where I post a number of wine tasting video events that I've been in, mainly in the city where I live, which is Greater Manchester here in the UK. And I will be talking just a little bit about some of the things that I've done on those past episodes, but that is maybe secondary to today's call. So if you've just caught this thinking, oh, wine, well, there will be a little bit of wine. I have a glass there, and I even have the bottle to hand, which is a Leopard Sleep Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot 2018 blend from the Western Cape of South Africa. It's half gone because I enjoyed half of it yesterday evening when I believed I was going to be joining a late night quiz show, also on TalkShoe, but unfortunately a few of the members that go on that couldn't attend. So I was very wise and I only drank half the bottle of my wine, and so there we are. So what we're going to do, as I say, is just go through a little bit of a recap. Now, on TalkShoe, and just as a disclaimer, I do work part-time for TalkShoe, but before I started to do that, I was a guest on a number of shows: Doctor Who, Podshop, Talking Twilight Zone, and one or two others, Friday Night Quiz Night with Randall Thor, and also with one of the other people on TalkShoe came on the sport. That's Jeff Franklin on his Friday night quiz shows, and also on Bruce, another member of the sport team who had the Media Outsiders show. Now, like those shows, my show about wine, the Big and Fruity Wine Podcast, and that is this particular call ID 112272, was mainly done on the old TalkShoe site before IOTM took over, and there are 152 episodes dating over 5 years when I went through a large number of things about that. And I'm just going to put into the chat window the link to the supporting site, because one of the things that, even though I'm talking now as a user of TalkShoe, one of the things we do say on TalkShoe, that promotion of your call, whether it's via Twitter or Facebook or a blog that you set up, that is entirely up to the host to do so. So I set up a WordPress blog. I've obviously got a YouTube site where this streaming is hopefully streaming very nicely indeed. I have a well, I think I haven't closed it. I've got a Twitter account, so let's put that in. As I say, this is a little bit of a test, so let's get some of these links into the room. So we've got, and this, for those people that come and join this live while I'm doing it on the TalkShoe page, they would come to TalkShoe. That's www.talkshoe.com, and then they would look in the top left for the browse button next to the TalkShoe icon, and if a show is live now, it will be showing. And this particular one, as I do it, of course, is showing live. And if they've signed into TalkShoe, if they go over to the top right-hand corner of their screen, they'll see a little 3 horizontal bar icon called the hamburger icon. And if they click down there, they can see a link to the help page of TalkShoe. And since I am doing, as I say, I'm not doing this officially as a work call, but since, for the sake that some people may just be catching this for the first time, oh, I put the Big and Fruity one in again. Let me just refresh that. This is, excuse me, I'll put it in first. There we are. It's support.talkshoe.com/support/home. And that is where you can find out information, including a complete user guide on that page. And there's also a blog and so forth. And one last thing about TalkShoe, and then we'll talk a little bit about wine. One last thing is to say that we do have twice weekly a call ID 77, where we give out hints and tips mainly geared towards hosts on how to get the best out of the TalkShoe service. That runs at 7 p.m. on Mondays and 4 p.m. on Wednesdays. It's the same show ID, 77, run by different members of the support team. And it only runs for about 15 minutes, can run a little bit longer. And you can come in there and after some of the hints and tips, either put your questions in the text chat, or you can actually come onto audio live either through the internet browser. And we do very strongly suggest you use an up-to-date Chrome browser to do that. And of course, you can call in and perhaps I ought to put one more thing in there, and that is that there is a list of international telephone numbers. I mean, I'm based in the UK, so I don't want to be calling an international number if I did so. And the numbers are listed there. The one I should perhaps just give out is the United States one. We'll copy that in. And again, apologies to those people who just want to hear about wine. I'm just getting these little housekeeping things out of the way, and that is, it's the +1 and then it's 605-562-0444, and that is the main one. There is no charge for using the phone by TalkShoe. If for any reason your phone provider starts to charge you, just email support@talkshoe.com. I'll submit a ticket on that help page. Okay, a little sip of water. And then as we come up to 4 p.m. here in the UK on British summertime, very exciting day for me because, well, first of all, if you're a science fiction fan, it's Towel Day. If you're a fan of Douglas Adams and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, well, it's the Towel Day. Sorry, I haven't got a towel over my shoulder, so that's good. Also, if you're a science fiction fan, somebody who's been in so many franchises is Sir Ian McKellen, and Sir Ian McKellen turns 80 today. And I'm just checking. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. That was just me. Perhaps just being over enthusiastic. I got a message saying that my connection. It's Saturday afternoon. I have got an awful lot of other things open there, but hopefully, if there was a short break in the video, I do apologize for that. But that's why this, of course, is a second test. And I'm going to give one more little piece of advice for those people trying video streaming on TalkShoe. One of the things about TalkShoe is that you can have more than one call series. So what you can, of course, do is set up an unlisted call and do your testing on that. Now, the reason I didn't want to do that with the video testing is because I've linked this particular main account to TalkShoe, and I don't want to what's the word, have complete tests just going to YouTube, because I am, as I say, going to be talking about wine. So it's just as well I poured that wine out before that little snafu. I think I better have a little smell and a taste. Now, I already know how this tastes, because as mentioned, I did have it and enjoyed it. Well, I was watching a great, I'm re-watching on Netflix Breaking Bad. As you might have guessed, as well as wine, I'm into science fiction. Indeed, I'm a co-host of the Cult and Collective podcast on TalkShoe, and that's call ID 54821. And would you believe it got over 630 episodes of that? And we have been doing that coming up to 10 years. And there are something like 1,200 hours, 1,200 hours of content about science fiction, fantasy, TV, cult TV, horror, comics, books, all related to fantasy and cult TV and science fiction. So, and of course, TalkShoe itself has been through a few alliterations in that time. Those are all audio ones, by the way. So I was rewatching Breaking Bad, which uh, it's because here in the UK, I really wanted to be watching season 8 of Game of Thrones, but in the UK, it's not shown on Netflix. I think it's on Amazon Prime, or indeed now I think you can get it on Sky as a box set. But I'm either waiting for the full 8 uh, series of it to come out on a beautiful Blu-ray box set, or if I can afford it, an Ultra HD box set, because I do have a 4K TV in the other room. So I was watching that and having a little sip of this, but we'll just have a little test now. And it's got quite a nice fruitiness on the nose, and that, of course, is the addition of Merlot. I think it's just 10% Merlot, and it's 90% Cabernet Sauvignon. Um, um, Cabernet Sauvignon is a fruity wine, but it has a more structure, I think. And the Merlot is there just to lift the fruitiness a little bit for those people who like a more mellow wine. Mm, it's as nice as it was last night. We've got a slight tannin that comes to the back of the throat because it's got quite a long finish. So you taste it, and I'm still tasting it now 10, 15, 20 seconds later. It's got a slight tartness, so it's almost a red berry fruit, even though I would expect to have some darker fruits as well, and I am getting a little bit of that. I'm not getting a lot of oakiness. There's a slight vanilla edge to it, but all in all, this is a very pleasant, but it's actually, for me, with the addition of the Merlot, it's a wine I feel I should be having something to eat with it. And I'm just going to check the participants list just to make sure if I have been joined or not by anyone. So we're just going ahead. And again, apologies if the video broke up for a little while. What I should have done is just left things as they were. Instead, I sort of refreshed the page, and that prompted a sort of 10-second break. Anyway, that is rather nice. So that is the wine I've been tasting. Is Leopard Sleep Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot blend 2008, and the price, by the way, here in the UK, it was reduced a pound, so I think it was £7. Sometimes it's £8, £8.50, and that equates in the United States to somewhere between $9 and $12. I say between that because in the States they deal with tax differently. In the UK, there's quite a high levy of tax on wines. In the United States, I think it's a lot less, but it has a slight complication, is that you have state taxes, and of course, as I'm aware, there are some dry states in America, and there are some where you can buy wine, but you can only buy it at approved outlets and only through certain times of the day. And of course, in many, many states, the age to drink, although I'm not encouraging anybody to drink, is 21. Now, here in the UK, that age is 18. Okay, so because I wanted to talk a little bit about wine, I have got a couple of other wines here. And by the way, as well as having my pages that I do, the Big and Fruity Twitter account, the Big and Fruity WordPress.com site, and the Dave Cooper on YouTube. By the way, the YouTube page, that if you're watching this, you may well be watching it. Of course, you can stream this video on TalkShoe later. You will also notice that there are videos about science fiction, a number of Doctor Who events that I've been to, and there's some general other videos that I put up. One I'm very pleased with is a lovely deer park near us, and I did it as a 4K video test, and that is looks, I feel, quite nice. It's only about a minute long, but I did it as a little test. And on my big 4K TV with the built-in YouTube app, it looks rather good. But the other thing to do is, of course, with wine. By the way, I mentioned Twitter. There are literally thousands of wine-related Twitter accounts. I think on my Dave Cooper Twitter account, so it's actually Dave AC, so that's at Dave and AC, all small case. That's another one of my Twitter accounts. I've got 2 wine lists there of connections. Now, when I started them, you could only have up to 500 on each, and I filled one up, so I had a wine list 1, wine list 2, but now I think they've increased that limit, so there are about 1,200 wine Twitter accounts that I've linked to on there. But other things are, of course, books. These are my old Oz Clarke wine guys. I think I need to get another one. 2008, 2013. I think this Christmas I'll have to persuade a family member to get me one for 2000. Well, I suppose at Christmas it will be dated 2020. So that's something I'll have to think about. And of course, there are lots of winepages.com on YouTube. That's Tom Cavanagh, and I'm sorry about his second name. I always get it wrong. He is very, very prominent in the wine world at the moment. He's been given a great honour in the wine awards. I haven't got the actual link to hand. Sorry about that. But Tom Cavanagh, it's he does his wine of the week every Monday on YouTube on winepages.com. There's the wine anorak, of course, that tweets, and then there's a lot of Tim Woods. There are a great many things. In fact, why don't I just look at my Big and Fruity roll call, as it were, the ones that I follow. See if I can just bring up a few names for. Oh, by the way, that deer place that I went to is called Dunham Massey National Trust Wine. But we've got. Let's have a look. Phil Howden, Walter Spelter, Andrea from Wine Imports, Women in Wine, Classic Wine Library, Plumpton Wine, Sarah Knowles Wine, Wine Remix, You Had Me at Merlot, Sisters Wine, Valley Wine Merchants, James Martin, he's one of the chefs that's on UK TV. Corks Out is a wine retail outlet, and they have lots of the one I've got here is Knutsford, which is the one near me. Stonecroft, Epicure Wines, Wine Old Woman, Craggy Range Wines, Dog Point Vineyard, Wine Cellar Door, Restless River, Smooth Red, Northern Wine School, Thistledown Wines, Mark Harvey. The Castle Field Rooms in Manchester. That's a great place where I go to some of the Corks Out wine testing events. Also go to the Virgin Wine events, and of course Naked Wines. Naked Wines, another big one on Twitter, and I actually purchased some of my wines online from Naked Wines, started by Round Gonley. I used to be on a wine podcast. It's now called Taste It, I think, on TalkShoe, but before that, I used to be on that for a number of years. So that was a great thing. And let's have a look. Taste of Lancashire, Wine Industry News, Wine Industry Network, Wine and Barge, Hawke's Ridge, Boutique Winery in Hawke's Bay, New Zealand. Must give a shout out to my co-host on the Cult Collective, Ian Bissett, lives in Florida in the UK now, but hails from New Zealand. Cloudy Bay Vineyards, another New Zealand one. Stella Organic Wines. Lots of things there. So if you're interested in wine, do take up and have a look at Twitter accounts, and also of course on YouTube you'll find lots of stuff. Right, we've been talking for a little while, and as I say, this is a test, but let me just show you some of the wines that I've got in. I'm not going to give you too much of a description of them, because one of the things about doing these wine podcasts, and by the way, the Big and Fruity, apart from doing these little tests at the moment, it's basically a back catalogue of wine episodes that I did. So at the moment, I'm not intending doing those on a regular basis. As of the moment, the what's the last thing I've got on the WordPress site? The Virgin Wine Tasting event that was on March the 9th, 2019. That was held at the conference centre in Manchester. They're only short videos. A Corks Out wine tasting event that was held in November 2018, and that was at the Castlefield Rooms. Dukes 92, that's another Twitter account. And then I put in some of my my Christmas wine order list from Naked Wines there. F. Stephen Millier, Angels Reserve Merlot Lodi. The Feather Plucker's Daughter Chardonnay, Hacienda Don Hernan Rioja Crianza. Love Rioja, one of my favourite wines. I do like lots of other ones. I like Primitivos. I like the Ravenscroft Primitivo from Lodi. Of course, you've got to remember about these different. It's Zinfandel in America, but I tend to call it Primitivo. So it's Ravencroft Zinfandel Lodi. That's brilliant. Arabella, some great wines by Arabella at Naked Wines. Arabella Shiraz, the Cabernet Sauvignon, Simpson's Sparkling Rosé. Lacraze Grand Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon Magnum. That was something else I got. Carlos Rodriguez, who I think was the winemaker of the year, I think 2 years on the run at Naked Wines. So lots of things there. What else have I got? As you see, I haven't rehearsed too much what I was going to talk about wine, with this being a test. And we've got another wine tasting event in March. Okay, I am getting, because I'm scrolling through all these things, I am getting a little bit of a thing stopping on my site. So I'm going to close some of these windows. Just to say that if you are on Facebook, there is also a Big and Fruity Facebook group, and you can request to join on that. So let me put the link into that. So if you're on Facebook, and by the way, our Cult and Collective Science Fiction and Doctor Who podcast, that also has a group on Facebook. So I'm going to close down those things now, and we'll just finish off with a little roll call of wines. And many of these wines are new to me. And one I'm really looking forward to tasting is, let's get this one right, is one that I got from my daughter. We went to Knutsford, and we went to the market food hall there, and they have a wine shop there, and we tasted this wine. Well, I tasted this wine, and I absolutely love it. But again, it's Bobal. That's Bobal organic wines, and this. Let me just get my little got my little spyglass just to use on the back here. Um, Mil Historias de Alto Landon 2016 Bobal, um, and it's from Spain. It's 14.5%, and this was absolutely delicious. So my daughter went back there and bought this as a treat for me, and I'm saving that for a special occasion. What else have I got? Let's have a look what we've got here. This is one of my go-to wines. Monte, I can never pronounce it. Monte. This is one of the reasons why I hesitated to keep doing them, is the pronunciation of the wines. Monte Sandiego, that Al Rioja, that is sold in most UK supermarkets. Reasonable price. That's about it can be £8.50, sometimes cheaper. By the way, the Bobal, I think, is about £16 here in the UK. But I am certainly, that's one of the wines I go to, and that has got a beautiful, and it has that lovely slightly oaky sandalwood long finish with it, and that is absolutely delightful and cries out to be eaten by a good drunk with a good hearty meal. What else have we got? I've got Stellenbosch, another this is Stellenbosch Shiraz from South Africa. That's one I've had before. That's about a 12 or 13 pound wine. What else have we got here? Oh, this is one I got from Naked Wines. No, it isn't. I got this from Morrison's, but it's a step up. It's the Reserva. So it's Castelero del Diablo, which I often get, but this is the Reserva Special. So that's about, can be up to £15, but I think I got it for £12. What else have I got here? Another wine, I think this is my daughter bought this for me again. This is a Primitivo, but an organic Primitivo. So looking forward to tasting that. That's an Italian wine, of course. What else have we got? Oh, look, another Shiraz. Again, just doing this for the people that are tuned in for the wine element of this little bit of a test. And what else have we got here? Oh, now, looking forward to this. I got this. Where did I get this from? I thought it was from, I think it's from Sainsbury's. So this, I think it's Sainsbury's. No, it's not. It says Marks and Spencer's in the back. Clock Tower 2017, a Pinot Noir, sumptuous and smooth, wild berry and cherry, for food, roast duck, and that I am extremely looking forward to. That was £16 from Marks and Spencer's. So I think we're going to, I said I was going to run this for about 30 minutes. I'm just checking to see if anybody has popped in while we've been talking. It seems not. I apologize for that little break in the middle. What happened is I saw a little banner that came up, and I think that was because I had too many other pages open. So a little bit of advice for those people who do come to TalkShoe and want to, in particular, do a video one. Don't have things like your email open and 20 tabs open on I've got two monitors here. You may have seen me looking over to the side. Basically, I was having just the main screen here talking into and about 15 or 16 tabs open here. One final thing I'll just say before we wrap up, since this is a big and fruity, I use the internet audio, but I use a couple of third-party pieces of software to actually playing content. I'm just going to move those things out of the way for now. Let me just move that, minimize it. I use something called Voice Meter Banana to actually route the sound through my headphones and in a way that it can capture. Now, I didn't, because this was a video recording, make a local recording whilst doing this, but normally when I just do an audio show on TalkShoe, what I will do is make a local recording. We do strongly advise hosts, again, not working for TalkShoe today, but putting that little hat on for a moment, we do advise people to either make a local recording if they can, or if they haven't got that facility, when their episode is uploaded, and by the way, on TalkShoe, on my Autumn now, the storage of that content is on the cloud, so it's much more secure than it may well have been in the past with the original TalkShoe. But even so, one thing you ought to do, I believe, is to download the audio uh, and save it not just once to your hard drive, but if you save it to your computer hard drive, also save it to an external hard drive, or maybe to a thumb drive, a USB drive. I actually have it saved on 2 different computers and on an external hard drive. Let me just show you. They're very cheap now. This is a 1 terabyte external USB 3 hard drive, and that cost, when I bought it, it probably cost about $60, £45. Now I can almost get a 2 terabyte one for not much more than that, maybe £60. So really, I personally don't think there's any excuse not to keep at least 1 or 2 backups. The rule of thumb for audio on TalkShoe is about 1 hour equates to about 20 megabyte size file. Now, of course, as well as doing live shows, you can record your show on Skype, or do it with another person in the room, or just yourself talking. Then use something like Audacity, a third-party program. And of course, you can, if you do it yourself, or you're doing it with someone else, you can record that as a stereo audio file and upload that. So you don't have to do your shows live. You go into TalkShoe, but you schedule it as though it happened slightly in the past. So if I was not doing this live, but I was just being talking to myself, and then I wanted to upload it, although today's date is the May 25th, Saturday, May the 25th, I would put it up as having been done on the day before, Friday the 24th. But so of course, if you've done it locally, you've already got that recording. But for anybody who just does live content, please make sure you download it to at least 1 computer, better still 2 devices, and maybe even an external hard drive, because hard drives can indeed fail. Okay, well, as I say, we'll see how this test turns out. It will disappear off YouTube for a while until I re-enable it a little bit later today. Well, thank you very much. This is Dave Cooper. I'm, as I say, I work part-time for TalkShoe, but this is me just doing a second test. And I keep thinking and toying with the idea of doing more Big and Fruity in video format as well as audio. But we'll see on that. Well, thank you ever so much. I'm going to search out at the top of the screen now the stop recording button, which I will see as a pause. But once I stop it, I will end the room. So one more shout out to Julia and Dora. If they're at Stack Market in Toronto in container 1-101B. I hope you're having a great time there, demonstrating TalkShoe to possible new users at that event, and all the best. And by the way, if you have another interest like I do, which is tennis, a French Open tennis starts tomorrow. Looking forward to Rafael Nadal trying for his 12th, I'm getting the fingers, 12th French Open title. Absolutely phenomenal. And of course, Federer's back after a 4-year absence, but sadly, Andy Murray won't be there, I don't think. He may play in the doubles, but we shall see. All right, this is Dave Cooper. Thank you for listening to this test call and video for the Big and Fruity Wine podcast. and that's TalkShoe 112272. And remember, if you're a science fiction fan, you can catch us. It's the first Sunday in the month. During the summer, we've gone monthly. The first Sunday in each month, and that is call ID 54821. And there are over 600 episodes of that maybe you will enjoy. Right. Thank you for listening. I'm going to stop the recording now. Bye all.